I turned 40 this year, and I started reflecting on what I wish I could have told my 20-year-old self about relationships, careers, investing. And so in this video, I am going to share 6 of those things with you. 20-year-old Lindsay. There is going to be a strange digital technology developed called Bitcoin. Don't worry about it. You don't need to know all the details. All you need to do is buy 100 of them when they're $100. Hold on to them for 10 years. And in the year 2021, when they are worth $60,000 each, sell them all. And you will have $6 million. Okay. All joking aside, I do wish that I had invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago and then sold them all at 60,000. I still hold on to some of them in full transparency, and this is not financial advice, but I would have been happy to make that $6 million in a 10-year time span. Unfortunately, we can't go back and tell 20-year-old Lindsay to do that. So here are the things that I wish I would have known. Now, by the way, I'm not a licensed psychologist. I'm not a financial advisor. And this should by no means be taken as advice to any of you. Feel free to do what you want with your life. But these are the lessons that I've learned that I wish I could go back and impart on myself. Or, as I watch my children grow up, potentially I will instill these concepts in them as well. And the first one is, just because you get married doesn't mean you'll stay married. I was married right out of college, graduated in June, married in August at 21 years. And I thought I had it all figured out. We had the cars, I had a new job, we bought the house, we got the dog. And then 5 years later, everything fell apart. And I was completely devastated. I felt like everything was upside down. I was completely broke, had to move in with my grandmother. And what I wish that I could go back and tell that Lindsay is that it's all going to be okay. Despite how difficult and challenging that time was, everything is going to be okay. You will get through this. And eventually I ended up meeting the man of my dreams. We got married. We had our 2 beautiful children. We even have a shaggy dog now. We live in a wonderful home, and I have a life that I dreamed of when I was a young girl. But in that deep, dark space, it felt like that's all I could see. And so if you're there right now, if you're going through that, just know that you can get through this. You will come out the other end, and I am rooting for you because I've been you and I get it, but there are better things on the other side of it. Now, the next thing that I wish I could tell myself was that your resume probably won't matter as much as you think it does. I was so focused on creating the perfect resume throughout high school and college and my first, couple careers. I was so focused on how do I continue to add things to this resume that are going to impress people, get the perfect GPAs, get the perfect job opportunities, even if I didn't love them, just so that I could create this incredible resume. And ultimately, as soon as I landed my first job, no one ever looked at it again. I was promoted for the value that I could provide to the company, for the work that I produced while I was there. Nobody really cared what was on the resume, especially not my GPA. No one even looked at it. And further to that, all the other jobs that I've gotten in my life since then have been based on the relationships that I've made with people in the industry. So networking and cultivating relationships can be far more powerful than what's written down on a piece of paper. When someone is in your corner and they know you, they are more likely to recommend you for a job that you might not be fully qualified for, but that they see the potential that you can do that role and that position. And they may cut you some slack and put your name at the top of the list versus someone who has the perfect resume. So instead of focusing so much on all these things that you should be doing, focus on the relationships with the people that matter and get out and network with people and meet people and continue to cultivate those relationships long-term, because you never know where those are going to lead you. And that leads me to point number 3, which is you will not stay in the same job or company for your entire career. So when I graduated with my bachelor's in 2003, I had a psychology degree and I planned on being a social worker. I went to work for a year. I thought I would get some experience and go right back in to getting my master's to become a licensed professional counselor. And what I realized in that first year was that I was absolutely not cut out to be a counselor. And I'm so glad that I didn't just go through and immediately get the master's degree, because I think I would have tried to force myself into that position long term because of all the money that I had invested. So I left that career and ended up in the transportation industry working for a rail car company. And the only reason I was there was because my mother had worked at that company for decades, and she gave my resume to someone in HR and they called me for an internship. I took the internship because I was desperate to find something new and ended up with that company for 10 years. In fact, they even sent me to get my master's in intermodal transportation. And I thought now that I would do that for the rest of my career. And then I had kids and I realized that all I ever wanted was to be able to create a lifestyle where I could be home with them as well as earn money at the same time. And so I left that again, which leads me to point number 4, is that my master's degree has actually made me less money than the value that I've been able to create in my home business for other people. So I ended up with my master's degree. I stayed with my company for about 5 years, and then I went on to build my own home business, become an online marketing trainer and coach. And over the past 5 years, I've been paid far more for the value that I deliver to other people in marketing than I was ever paid at the organization that I worked for after having a master's degree. So I would go back and tell 20-year-old Lindsay, don't worry so much about climbing that corporate ladder, about getting that next degree, because what's going to happen is you're going to have kids and you're going to want to be home with them, and you're going to find other ways to create value in the marketplace, to serve people and to earn a far greater income. Now, maybe for you, that isn't important. And you're thinking, well, Lindsay, I do want to climb the corporate ladder. And like I said, this isn't advice for anyone else. This is simply my reflections on what I would tell my former self. And for some of you, it might be resonating with you. And you might be thinking right now, oh my gosh, this is my chance and my opportunity to make a change of a lifetime that can really set me up and create the life that I want for the rest of my career. And that brings me to the next point, which is, if I had taken that $100,000 that was invested into that master's degree and had instead put it into the markets at an average of 10% for 20 years, that $100,000 would be worth $672,750 right now. It almost makes me want to cry thinking about that, because that's a lot of money that I could have had instead of buying that master's degree. But alas, again, this is 40-year-old Lindsay, and I can't go back and tell her to do things differently. So we just got to move on from here. And that brings me to my last and final point, which is most things can actually be self-taught or can be learned through on-the-job training and life-based experiences. When I got started working for the railroad, I knew nothing about rail cars. I had a bachelor's of arts in psychology. And yet I went on to work with that company for 10 years and climbed multiple ranks inside of the corporate organization, got promoted many, many times, and received a lot of responsibility and authority at the company based on the experience that I was getting on the job. And I really want to challenge you to think, if you're out there looking for a change of career, or you're thinking about starting your own business in something, or maybe you want to grow your online business, or you want to become a coach, and you're thinking, well, I don't have the certification, or I don't have the, master's degree in this. You can teach yourself so many of these things. You can gain the experience by going out there and helping people in the way that you want to help them. Go out with service. If you want to be a coach, start coaching people. You don't necessarily have to be paid in the beginning. Go out there and show people that you can help and you can serve, and the money will follow when you deliver the value. I am so grateful that I had the courage to walk away from that corporate career in 2016 after my second daughter was born, and to kind of jump into the unknown of online marketing and home business. If I hadn't done that, my entire life would be different right now, and I'd be sitting in a job, sitting in an office that I didn't enjoy anymore, and missing out on so much of my children's life. So if you take nothing else away from this video that 40-year-old Lindsay would tell her 20-year-old self, it's to dream big, take those risks, and know that you are going to figure it out, and it's going to be okay. And I'll see you in the next video.